So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I developed a passion for and how I came to understand the power of food in agriculture. So I think a lot of us have some core memories around food. Mine are not that unusual. I had a dad who grew cherry tomatoes in his garden, and I just cannot remember. You can't forget being in a garden and pulling warm cherry tomatoes off the vine and putting them in your mouth. That is changed your life, as it did mine. I also remember being put at a very early age into a performing arts camp at the local school, and I remember sitting in the audience and being told that one of the things that I was going to be doing was singing a song called Food, Glorious Food. And I got my little t-shirt, I probably was 8, it had silkscreen, the kids in the silkscreen class that made popsicles and all sorts of things. And I got to stand in the middle of the stage and sing Food, Glorious Food. And there's this picture of me where my head is back and I'm like, ugh. And so this is the development of me realizing that this was going to be a passion throughout my life. And the third way that I got kicked into this work that I do and my love for food and agriculture is from my 1989 environmental science class with Myra Morgan here at Ethel Walker's. I was not supposed to be successful in this class. My advisor, she was a very rigorous teacher, and it completely changed my life, learning that the population of the world, the population of the country, and if we didn't reuse and recycle, we weren't going to make it. And we are here today, so that is the good news. But just learning about the food system and how we were needed to think very consciously about it if we wanted to feed the mass of people that were here. A couple of pivot points. I ended up in New York City, and my roommate from Ethel Walker's class that we did on Amy Burke worked at some more magazines. She was always coming home with pans and fresh fish and cooking it on the stove and then putting the pan with the fish in the oven, and I thought, this sounds like a lot of fun. The other pivot point that got me there was I was a producer at ABC News in New York, and it was a very hectic, place, and more often than not, some of the people ahead of me would say, this is just so crazy. One day I just wanted to go on a goat farm. And I thought, wow, I could just go to a goat farm. I could change my world. I ended up at a goat farm. Long story short, I ended up taking a pivot coming out of the 2000 election and found myself back in Boston where my family lives, in the home that a butt still does, or we sold it, but did. Appleton Farms, which is a property of trustees of reservations. It was a very sad moment. My dad took me to the back. He said, throw a rock. This is where our world ends, and that's all that you grew up loving is actually a different farm. And I thought, well, that was really shaping. I love food. I love farms. I'm going to go to graduate school. I'm going to figure out how to develop programs on working farms. They represent the confluence of my interests in land conservation, food and the culinary arts, and bringing people together around food, and what I realized was my interest in different educational pedagogy. So I was a agreeable classroom student, but I did much better with my hands and experiential learning, and I had a Montessori school education. So this is where my interest in education and sustainable food systems kind of came together there. So out of graduate school, I'd done a lot of research, and I ended up visiting a lot of farms in New England and in the Mid-Atlantic. And at the very last, I was doing this graduate work, and people kept saying, have you been to this place in Vermont called Shelburne Farms? And I was like, no, I haven't yet, but I'm gonna get there someday. And what ended up happening is all these different farm-based programs were saying, we know about all these places, but we've never been. We know we could get curriculums and information and get really united. So together with all of these different farms I've been working with, we developed a program called the Farm-Based Education Network. And I just going to quickly tell this story. So there was this moment at one of these conferences that we were doing. And I was sitting in this event, and I took the bite of this, it's called the chocolate bomb, and this famous regional chef had made these things. And has anybody seen the movie Ratatouille? Yeah. So it's a great movie for all ages, cartoon, but there's this very crabby food critic named Anton Ego, and I think he was based on Corby Coomer, if anybody remembers him. I think he wrote for the Times. But he's so crabby, he gets into this restaurant, he sits down, he takes a bite of this ratatouille, and there's like a pullback to him sitting in his French country home eating ratatouille. And it was the love of his mother, it was the terroir of the food, it was this hot meal. I think he'd had a bad day, I don't remember what happened. But when I bit into that chocolate thing that I was telling you about, I transported back, I had this sense memory and this muscle memory of this piece of chocolate cake that I had been given when I was little. And that's what really clicked for me. Everybody eats, everybody has sense memories and core memories from their childhood. And it is my theory of change that if we can do a really good job of connecting people and engaging people in advancing a sustainable food system, it's kind of the one-hit wonder on hunger, equity, climate change. And so that's the work that I do with a place called Shelburne Farms in Vermont. I invite all of you to let me know when you're in the Burlington area. I would be delighted to tour you around. It's a 1,400-acre agricultural working farm and landscape, educating for a sustainable future. We have farmstead cheddar cheese that is part of the enterprises that we have that help us run the nonprofit and earn revenue in addition to fundraising like any good nonprofit. But it's my heart song. It's where everything that I love came together, including some really remarkable people. And I didn't do that bad. I don't think I'm Italian, but there it is. My love for food.